Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family, and we are delighted that you've welcomed us into your home. You know that we would love to hear from you. So today we're taking your questions and your comments. You're watching, it's Monday, we're live. Give us a jingle at 1-800-221-9460 outside North America. You can reach us at 205-271-2980. And you can always send us an email with your question or your comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com, and check us out on Facebook. So the question for today's show was this: if you serve in or have been served by a pregnancy help center, please share with us your experience or your story, because today's theme, the things that we're going to be talking about, are pregnancy help centers, loving them both, the mother and the child. And so we're in this time of before the election, and there's so much, you're hearing so much noise out there about abortion and women's rights and my body, my choice. And we know only too well that when a woman is in an unplanned pregnancy, there are three people in crisis. There's her, the boyfriend, the father of that baby, and the baby. And so we have to come up with a plan, and we have to talk about the options that are available for her. This culture is screaming, abortion is your option. Unplanned, unexpected, nothing needs to interrupt your plan. And so, but that is not true. Abortion isn't your only option. And there are pregnancy help centers all over the world, actually, that can minister to you and help you, listen to your heart, have your situation, all the resources that you need. You'll get a free pregnancy test, you'll get free ultrasounds, you'll get parenting classes, you'll get free medical assistance and ways that we can help you. So we want to hear from you. If you've served in or you went to because you were in an unplanned pregnancy, we want to hear your experience.
Yes. Optionline.org, O-P-T-I-O-N line.org. You can go there or call 1-800-712-4357. The wonderful thing about Option Line, if you go there, you put in your street address or your zip code, and it will give you all the pregnancy medical centers and help centers in the country, maybe even different parts of the world. They have a place for that. So it also has Spanish support, so you can English or Spanish, make your request. And this helps because people can get help readily, quickly. Also, if you have had an abortion and you need post-abortion healing, go to optionline.org, call that number, and they'll tell you where in your community, based on your zip code, you can get post-abortion healing, get more information about that. So, Joy, you mentioned all the great resources there for people who go to these pregnancy help centers, but you're going to find community. You're going to find people that don't want anything from you. They're not going to charge you. They want you. They want to love you as the mother of this child. They want to love the child within you, and they want you to have the best outcome that you could possibly have. They want you to know all of your options, true options that lift up life. So call us today. Have you worked in or volunteered in a pregnancy help center? What's the experience in there? What is it like at ground zero? What's happening in there? Or maybe you were served by a pregnancy medical center and you now have your baby, or you made a different decision and you went back and received post-abortion healing. 1-800-221-9460, 1-800-221-9460, 205-271-2980. Call us. You don't have to give your name. You can call anonymously. We look forward to hearing from you, and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, remember that today we're taking your questions and your comments on our show. So if you're watching, it's Monday and we're here very alive. Please give us a jingle at 1-800-221-9460 outside North America. You can reach us at 205-271-2980. And you can always send us an email with your question or your comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com, and check us out on Facebook. So this was the question. If you've served in or have been served by a pregnancy help center, please share with us your experience or your story. And so we have the privilege, and I've been the executive director for 15 years, and you have been ministry development alongside me. And we have the privilege of working with young women. Our average client is between the ages of 19 and 24.
But you've had 40-year-olds, right?
But we've had 40-year-olds, and I've had 14-year-olds. We certainly go the gamut of people who find themselves in unplanned pregnancies, even in marriage, and then the dilemma of, what am I going to do? What do I want to do?
So what is that like? I mean, when people are coming, they're abortion-minded. They want to know the gestational age of the baby, where they might go for an abortion. I mean, it's life and it's death. And how do we approach these people? What's in your heart, the heart of the counselors that are there, in these power encounters where you have only so much time to make the case for their well-being and for the life of their child?
Yeah, well, I think the best thing that pregnancy help centers do is they love well. They love and they serve, and they want to walk alongside this woman who finds herself in this unexpected, unplanned pregnancy. Maybe her birth control has failed. The stories that you hear, it's really, we live in a culture today that has really lost our way. And so clients come in, and some are scared, some are afraid to tell their parents, some are afraid to tell their husbands. Maybe they have stepped out of their marriage and they're not being faithful in marriage. And so there's a lot of complications. It's always complicated. So what we do is, when they come into us, and it's by appointment, or we do take walk-ins, and most pregnancy help centers do that. When they come in, you want to hear their heart. We want to find out what exactly got you at this point in time. We're finding out if they've ever been pregnant before. We're finding out if they've ever had an abortion before, if they've had pregnancy loss, as in miscarriages or stillborns. And so we are all trained by a beautiful organization. We've had them on our show before, is Heartbeat International, which is a governing board for policies and procedures as to the methodology of how you love and listen, and how you can accompany this person. And sometimes she'll come in with her boyfriend, sometimes she comes in with her husband, she's coming in with her mother, her girlfriend, her sister, or she's coming alone and she hasn't told another person on the planet, and maybe she's had an abortion in her past. And so now she's in an unplanned pregnancy and she's thinking she might want to have another abortion. Right. So we listen to them, we do free pregnancy tests, we confirm whether or not they are pregnant, we do free ultrasounds, we are medical, although you're going to hear lots of rhetoric out there that we're fake clinics. There's nothing fake about us. What we do, I have medical directors, I pay medical insurance, my staff is, I have a nurse on staff, I have a RDMS on staff, people that are skilled to do what they do. And so we love and we accompany them to say, you have 3 options. I know you might think abortion is your only option, but we have that encounter with her in the room where we can hear her heart and how we can help her, and present to her that there are other options, whether she can place the baby up for adoption, if she chooses to parent this child, or if she chooses to have an abortion. We're going to tell her the truth in love, in that we're going to say, these are the consequences, these are the risks. And, you know, I say this often on the show, we have to choose our hard. They're all hard choices. No one is easier than the other. They're hard. But this is how, with the consequences that we suffer when we live by our own choices and live apart from God.
Yeah. So, have you served in a pregnancy medical center, help center? What is it like? Joy's sharing a little bit about what we do, the resources we have, the truth that we tell, but she's also sharing about accompaniment, true accompaniment, community, listening even before we speak, of why this woman now, and most of the women that get to us in these centers are in despair. They've reached that place where they're ready to bite their leg off to get out of the trap of being pregnant. It's a terrible thing to say. That's where they are. And if you really don't have, I mean, the resources and the community, the love, the acceptance, the being there, the presence, the smell and the beauty of the centers is really important. The senses that are being touched. And that we're going to be with you for the long haul.
Right.
We're in this for the long haul. And if you choose to have an abortion, here's the consequences, the implications, and we ask you, please come back to us. We're not going to tell you where you can come back to us, because everything we told you, now you're going to know is true. And we want to continue to love you and bring healing and hope to you, because we do post-abortion healing in our center. You have Rachel's Vineyard, other organizations that will do that. So we love them both, this baby, the mother, women who choose life, those who've chosen abortion. And we say we want to continue with you. We want to walk with you. This is Monica from California on the phone. Monica, welcome to At Home with Jim and Joy. Please share with us.
Hi, Jim and Joy. I wanted to just briefly explain what happened with me 37 years ago. I found myself pregnant at 22, and I went actually to an abortion clinic in San Diego, and they did the ultrasound. Of course, I didn't see or hear anything there, but they said that my baby was too far along and that I needed to go to the hospital for an abortion. So I went back and I started to do some fundraising with my friends and family, and my brother found out that I was doing this, my older brother, and he called my mom. And so my mom came, got me. We went to Catholic Charities, which at the time was my abortion resource center. And that's where my journey began. And I was able to select Claire's adoptive parents. I was able to see her get born. She's now 37, and she has a child of her own and a husband. Had I chosen to give her or to have an abortion, her husband wouldn't have a wife, and Damien wouldn't have a mom, and so and her adopted parents wouldn't have known the joy of having her as their child. So that's my story, and I want women who are in crisis pregnancies out there to understand that, again, it's not just themselves, and it's a separate human life that deserves to be born. But through abortion, we have lost so many wives, husbands, scientists, priests, you name it, and God knew that I could not handle an abortion psychologically, so he 100% took care of me, and I'm so grateful for that.
Well, Monica, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Birth mothers are our heroes. I mean, that was hard. That was a hard choice for you to make too. Thank God for your brother and your mother to come up alongside of you and to know that had you chose to have an abortion, you would have had a different outcome. And they loved you enough to say, we're going to help you with this.
And it's great to hear that the Catholic Church was there.
Yes.
To help. And, for the women we speak with in our centers, adoption is the last option.
Right.
So it may be abortion first, and then we present, can you place your child, not give your child away, place your child. We have about 1 million abortions per year now since the fall of Roe versus Wade.
Right.
And we have about 1 million people or more waiting to adopt a child, and she made that beautiful choice.
Right.
So it's interesting, the women who we share with that are abortion-minded, they say, I can never do that to my baby. Do what to your baby? I can never give my baby away. We're not asking you to give your baby away. We're asking you to place your baby for adoption. And by the way, You said baby. Not an embryo, not a fetus, not whatever. You just said you're here for an abortion, and you just said, my baby. You're already bonded to this baby.
Right.
And once they start saying, oh, I did say that, didn't I? Yeah, you did, and that's good. And that's why we're having this conversation. And that's what these centers do. They have the conversation that they're not having anyplace else. And go ahead, babe.
Well, and one of the things, you know, is we don't impose our values, our beliefs, our thoughts, what you should do. We propose. We propose the options. It's her choice. It's her choice to choose,
yeah,
right? I mean, we all have free will, and there's all consequences. And we have done adoptions, and like Monica shared, you know, got to see the baby born, and there's open adoptions, there's closed adoptions. But when you see that baby who is placed for adoption in context with the family, every life matters. And like she said, so many babies have been aborted. 63 million babies have been aborted, right, since 1973. You're just like, oh, Lord, how many people are missing? And it hurts us as a human society.
And let's say this, for those that didn't make the choice that our caller just made, that there's healing. The same places that are trying to work with girls to have their child are the same places. In Rachel's Vineyard Retreat, we're going to have Father Ben Cameron with us. He's written a book, Healing the Deepest Wounds, talking about the healing of those who've experienced abortion or helped support abortions, or how we can accompany people who've had abortions. So there's hope for you. Do go to optionline.org, both for help if you're in an unexpected pregnancy, and if you need post-abortion healing. And thanks for the comments. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, before we wrap up today's show, we're going to hear from Joan Lewis, who's in Rome, about the latest news on the Global Synod on Sodality. Joan, what do you have for us?
Well, greetings, Jim and Joy, and greetings to you at home from my home in Rome. I think most of you know that the October 2024 Synod on Synodality is now at its halfway mark, and this as prelates and lay faithful from around the world gather to discuss the theme for a synodal church: communion, participation, and mission. Now, what I want to offer today really are a couple highlights of the past week, the second of those first 2 weeks. And I think the first one we have to talk about is the fact that, as you know, the Pope called for people to have a day of fasting and prayer for peace in the Middle East on October 7th, last Monday, of course. We also discovered it was not just prayer, but it was also almsgiving that day. 32,000 euro was collected on the 7th of October from participants in the Synod, to which 30,000 euro was added by the Dicastery for Charity. So that is 62,000 euro, about $68,000. And this was announced by Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, who's prefect of the Dicastery for Charity. So an amazing sum of money that was already transferred to Jerusalem through the Apostolic Nunciature, and that sum is now at the disposal of Father Gabriel Romanelli, who's the pastor of Holy Family Church in Gaza. We want peace there, of course, and peace everywhere in the Middle East. Now, another highlight of the week was the Holy Father's letter to the 21 new cardinals whose names he announced last Sunday at the Angelus. And he said he was going to have a consistory on December 8th, but actually the consistory itself will be on December 7th. However, on December 8th, the feast of the Solemnity of the Immaculate Conception, the entire College of Cardinals will celebrate Mass with the Holy Father in St. Peter's Basilica. Now, the papal letter was dated October 6th, a week ago Sunday, the very day on which he announced the names of the 21 new cardinals. And in his letter to them, he invited them to embody 3 attitudes that mark St. John of the Cross: eyes raised, hands joined, and feet bare. And it was really a very beautiful letter. Now, in this second and last week, there were various focus groups that have been set up by the Holy Father to discuss different issues. They are now formulating proposals, and the topics they have been asked to look at are church governance reforms, women's participation in the life and leadership of the church, a pastoral approach for polygamists in Africa, a very interesting topic there, proclaiming the gospel in the digital age, and the relationship between bishops and priests and with the faithful of God. Also, criteria for choosing episcopal candidates. And lastly, enhancing lay participation in decision-making processes. And then a couple of sessions were also dedicated to interfaith dialogue, realizing the importance of working with other religious traditions as the world faces global challenges. So you have social justice, you have climate control, and of course, peacemaking abilities. So on those notes, I close, and back to you.
Joan, thanks so much for that report and all that you're doing there in Rome, keeping us up to date on the workings of the church and where we stand at this time. Please join us next time for a conversation with Father Ben Cameron about healing and emotional recovery for women after abortion. He's written a tremendous book, Healing the Deepest Wounds, and it will be a great blessing to you, whether you've had an abortion, you are trying to accompany someone who had an abortion, or people who helped to facilitate the abortion, grandmas, grandpas, siblings. And how do we accompany them? What are they going through now that they have this realization that they were involved in the taking of a human life? How can we better speak the gospel of life passionately, with clarity, but with charity? You're an important part of this EWTN family. You're never alone, and you're always at home with Jim and Joy. Bye now.